Welcome, Heidi. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I had to change the audio because it is so loud. We are live, Northern Utah Jobs. We're at the Silicon Summit in Salt Lake City. All the big tech giants are here, having a lot of fun. Tim Cook was here speaking yesterday. That was quite the treat. So we're here to talk about jobs. We're here to talk about specifically today the transition from the physical recruiting process in the light industrial space. I'm sorry, my audio is terrible. To virtual recruiting, how we've adapted. In addition to that, Heidi, she mentioned we should really hit on the customer service aspect, the human element to recruiting that has been lost on many staffing firms since the pandemic, because not only do you you can't read someone's body language very well over a Zoom call, but really with this labor shortage in the market, you're just trying to get as many people as hired as possible, and it becomes a numbers game in many cases, which is not a good thing. Good for the client to get the volume they need, but for the people, the individual people looking for jobs, they want to matter, and we're going to talk about how you can do that. So that's going to be our show today, Heidi.
I'm super excited.
Awesome.
Things have definitely changed. I think it's really, really cool that you are live from where all of this tech and all of this awesomeness has actually started, and all these different companies that are involved in. I think that's really cool. I'm excited.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really great here. So Heidi, let's go back down memory lane. I know you had just got on with us right before the pandemic.
I started in February of 2020, people. So it was,
oh my gosh.
I mean, right as pandemic hit.
Yes. So before pandemic, take us back memory lane. What did it look like when it comes to recruiting, as well as the service level, right? The service aspect of recruiting. What did that look like back in February of 2019?
So I remember back when I was looking for a job right before pandemic happened, and even coming into this as a recruiter right before the pandemic hit, it was very much so that job seekers were always on like Indeed or on Monster or on Glassdoor. It was very much so that the job seekers were actively seeking for these jobs and posting their resumes and looking up companies and applying through those websites and everything. And it was even bringing your resume directly to the company and say, hey, I don't know if you guys have any openings, but I'd love to be considered. I've heard about your company, or walking into the place of business and saying, hey, I'd like to apply. Do you guys have an application I can hurry and fill out? And that was definitely a thing prior to the pandemic. And then we jump in. Even just right before the pandemic, things were virtual. It was in Indeed and Monster and LinkedIn and all of these different websites, ZipRecruiter.
Right.
But it was, there was also a personal aspect of it, to people physically going into companies and asking for those applications, asking who the HR manager is, if they could drop off a resume.
You'd see those big banners outside, like, come on in and apply.
Absolutely.
You don't see any of those. I haven't seen one since the pandemic, and I don't think they're ever coming back.
I even remember right when the pandemic hit and we were all doing, social distancing. There was mandated, everybody's quarantining, and it was do as much at home as possible. Do everything you can to get hired on at home, and then we'll bring you in for like maybe 2 seconds to go through a drug test with you.
Right. And, the idea of hiring someone without physically meeting them terrified recruiters. Absolutely terrified. I remember months before the pandemic, I'm meeting with all of our branch managers, and we're talking about, how do we recruit faster? How do we get to the offer faster with the candidate? And I remember really trying to sell my team the idea of virtual recruiting. And it was just so foreign. I'm like, guys, we got to get Skype cameras. That's when Skype was still a thing. And Skype was replaced by Microsoft Teams, just in case you didn't know. But I wanted Skype cameras. I wanted microphones. And I'm like, team, we are going to remote recruit. We are going to talk to our candidates virtually. Not everyone can come into the office from 9 to 5. So how do we reach these candidates virtually? And it was a really hard concept for
I
everyone
remember
to
that
wrap their head around.
conversation, Steve, and I remember some of that backslash, like, wait, hang on, you want us to offer somebody a job not knowing what their personality is, not ever having met them?
Right, exactly. And I think the pushback comes from our initial start of this conversation before we went live, that level of service that you want to deliver, that you want to give to that person walking through your door. You want them to feel like they're the most important person in your office. You want them to feel like, their experience, their background is exactly what you needed. Like you're the golden ticket, like you're the prize that just walked through our door. We're so lucky to have you. We can't wait to show off your talents to our clients and find you the right fit. And so, it's hard to have that same enthusiasm virtually because you don't see body language as much. And in some cases, you're not even seeing them. It's just most cases, actually, it's just over the phone. And so you really don't like, hey, Heidi, you have a pleasant voice, but are you really like this? I don't know.
Is this personality fit really going to match with the company?
Yes.
Is this really going to be a situation that you're going to excel
Yeah,
in?
maybe you're like tatted up and have all these earrings, and the company that you'd be a perfect fit for, that doesn't fit their culture. That's pretty rare these days, but it was a thing, right? And so that terrified people, absolutely terrified people. And now, if you want a job, you can literally just text in your interview. It's just a text, just going back and forth. You're answering the questions with a text, which I really like because it shows me how well of a communicator you are, or if you use slang terms in text, right? And how many emojis do you use? It also gets rid of
some of those stigmas that we used to see, like you had said, that it used to be a thing that it was like you have to fit a certain image, and you get rid of that when you're talking over text message, over email, phone, all of that kind of stuff. You get rid of those stigmas and you really get down to who that person is.
Yes, exactly. And so, as we've made this transition from physical recruiting to virtual recruiting, a lot of companies out there have struggled, and many more have mastered it. They have figured the process out, and part of that goes back to the text message interview. And so, if you're watching this and you're struggling with getting candidates, and you interview 10, and 8 of them don't show up, right? To finish the hiring process, maybe you should look at your hiring process. Are you requiring a physical presence throughout the process, or through half of the process, or just 10% of the process? What's that physical presence look like, and can you reduce that using technology, and get to the offer faster, get to the hire faster? Now, customer service. Right. Helping someone, this is a competitive market. So if you don't help someone feel like they're the most important person in the room, they're going to leave for another job. There are more jobs than there are people.
Right.
And so you, as a hiring manager, have to go above and beyond to make that person feel important, to feel valued, to feel like what they have to offer is special and they're going to make a difference. They also need to know that you have their best interests in mind, whether that's their career growth that they're after, whether it's a work-life balance, work-life harmony, whatever's important to them, income needs, certifications, and so on and so forth. Having a good supervisor, it might be a great company with a great reputation, but if you have poor management in the building, you're going to lose these people, and they're going to feel like they were sold a bad apple, right? And so, right. Heidi, walk us through what does that look like virtually for you now to make the person feel like they're the most important person in the room, and actually to do a better job virtually than in person in many cases.
Well, I like the word that you used as far as customer service within the workplace. Customer service normally, as most of us know, refers to how you treat your customers. If you have a very, very large customer that comes in, primary source of your income, and this customer comes in and says to you that I need some flexibility, or I can't meet with you at this time, but I can meet with you at this time, Or I prefer text messages because I'm a busy person. Can you just send me a text message when you want to schedule a meeting or when my order's ready or whatever it is? If you had a customer come up to you and say that, you would be like, absolutely, I will move heaven and earth. I will make this happen and it will be fine. But we don't see that normally with managers and their subordinates, employees, whatever word that you deem is correct, associates, partners. Anyways, we don't see that kind of flexibility. We don't see that kind of customer service, that personal touch, that I understand where you're coming from, I respect where you're coming from, and I'm going to do my best to help you through that. We had talked in one of our previous Facebook Lives. If you haven't watched some of our previous podcasts or shows, please go back and watch them. They all are full of great information. But in one of them, we did mention something very, very similar to this, that we need to have that communication, that open communication. And with that open communication is not always going to be in person. Your supervisors or their employees who are under them, they're not always going to be on the same shift as you. Or if they are, they're probably busy during their shift and they would like to reach out to you at a time that they're not busy. Same thing. So if you have that customer service utilizing this technology to make that open door policy virtual and say, I have a text message, here's my cell phone. Please understand this is my personal cell phone. I don't, want to be told every little itty bitty detail that could maybe go in an email that I could read later on. But if you've got an emergency or if there's a situation you need me to be aware of, please send me over a text message. Please give me a phone call, day or night. I don't care. Let me help you. Having that level of customer service with your employees can really add that personal touch, make them feel valued. And then
so instead of an open door policy, you should have an open chat policy.
Yes, absolutely. Because if you think about the open door policy, that's great and everything, having your door open, but not everybody can take the time to step away from their job. Not everybody is going to be there during your specific office hours, or if you're off in a meeting and that's the only time that they can get a hold of you. It's just not realistic anymore in this day and age. And we have all of this amazing technology that Stephen has the honor of exploring right now. When we have all this amazing technology at our fingertips, so why not utilize it to make that personal touch even better?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you need to leverage technology to add that personal touch. People think that, if you replace the person, the physical presence, that somehow you lose that personal touch. But technology can only enhance that personal touch. And just think about when you mentioned open door policy. Like, it's really hard to, you walk by the HR office and you see the office door is closed and the blinds are shut. Someone's in trouble, right? Some crazy conversations are happening. Don't you wish you were a fly on the wall, right, for every one of those closed door meetings? But HR becomes inaccessible, and during COVID, HR was very unavailable in person, right? Because they were working from home. Like every company that I know of, HR teams were working from home. And then as we've got the vaccines and things like that, more HR managers are coming back to the office. They're still having split time from home and in the office. So as an individual employee trying to get a hold of my HR manager for even the smallest thing that maybe it seems like the smallest thing, but really it's important to me, it's a big thing. I can do that now virtually. And HR managers, if you're watching, you really should find a way to not only be able to virtually connect with your management team, because you're already doing that, but how do you virtually connect with your 1,000 employees in your building? Do they have that same opportunity to virtually connect with you on a Teams meeting? And if the answer to that is no, you should really consider making that change. You should be available. If you're available in person to your 1,000 employees, you should be available virtually to your 1,000 employees, right?
Yep, absolutely. And I'd almost like to challenge that a little bit further and get rid of all assumptions. Because sometimes in this virtual, what happens is that a text message is sent or an email is sent, and it's sent urgently. So we don't always, make sure that it sounds right, and we read through it 5 times to make sure our point is getting across. But I do think there's sometimes, especially in text messages or emails, where there is no indication with your voice, there's no indication with your body language, whether it was something that you were mad about, if you were yelling at somebody, if you were just simply stating something, if you were stating something in a hurry. I think we should challenge that a little bit further to get rid of those assumptions. For example, today Stephen texted me HMMM. And can be taken several ways. It just kind of depends on the fluctuations of your voice.
You threw me off with that.
I know. I texted it back and I said, "You're making me a little nervous."
And I'm like, wait, you're making me nervous.
I know, right? It can mean several different things. So always giving your employees the benefit of a doubt, instead of just thinking so-and-so just yelled at me. Well, it was through text message. How do you know they yelled at you? And instead of just were very straightforward about what their needs were. So getting rid of some of those assumptions, again, with customer service, if you had a customer message you and it sounded maybe like they were angry, instead of being like, "Oh, I'm so pissed off at so-and-so, they just texted me this," you'd be like, "Oh my gosh, what can I do to help you?" That customer service, I feel like, is maybe not the right word because it refers to customers.
Here's another word. Don't assume the worst.
Right.
So when someone writes in a chat, Heidi, don't assume the worst. Right. Ask, right? Seek clarity.
Clarify.
Yes, and that goes with any text message and even voicemails, phone calls. Like, sometimes just you read the room wrong. I do it all the time. So you got to ask additional questions. You've got to read the room, and don't assume the worst.
Yes, absolutely. And
even if you're 99% sure,
and switch over to human relations. We are, making sure that the workflow is going, and having relations with your employees really will help to make that personalized touch, even using virtual and technology and all the fun stuff that we use nowadays in business.
Right. Yeah. I mean, just think of what we're doing right now. We've got this live show being broadcasted into all these job boards on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. We're trying to reach you, the job seeker, or someone that's thinking about making a change. And this is the new way of reaching out. You're not going to find Northern Utah jobs in a newspaper ad because no one's reading the newspaper, let's be honest. And so as if you're a hiring manager or a recruiter, you really need to embrace virtual recruiting. In-person recruiting is awesome. It's so good to see someone in person, and it really makes my day when that happens. But that's not the norm anymore. And if you're trying to make that the norm, you're in trouble. That's not where the market's going. That's not the direction of recruiting. Even before the pandemic, Heidi. 6 years ago. 6 years ago, I interviewed for a job, and over the phone with the CEO, I got the job offer. Never met him. Didn't do a Teams call. Teams didn't exist. Didn't do a Skype call. Didn't do a Zoom call. And I got my offer letter, my start date, all of that. I started with that company remotely. Did not meet my boss for a month, Heidi. A month. And this wasn't like a, entry-level position. Like, this was a high-level filled position that you really want to get to know the person that you're hiring, because they're interacting with your clients and making $1 million decisions. And my boss didn't need to meet me in person or even see my face to make a decision. And that was the future of recruiting almost 7 years ago.
That says something about the CEO, because those questions that you ask, that conversation that you have to get to know these associates without having to meet them and still knowing that they're going to be a good fit with that company, that really comes with some serious skill and be able to ask those very valuable questions.
Exactly. All right. Anything else you want to add, Heidi, before we wrap things up?
Don't be scared of technology. It's there to help you, I promise.
What's that Napoleon Dynamite song about technology? I love technology.
Sure.
Come on, Heidi, you're from Preston.
I know. I lived Napoleon Dynamite, but that's a story for a different time. Don't be scared of technology. Check out the new things out there. Feel free to explore it. If you ever feel nervous or maybe you need some help with your recruiting process, get a hold of Steven. If you're understaffed, you can't figure out how to reach out to these people virtually, we know how to do it. We're pretty good at it. Heidi knows how to do it. Steven's the one who taught me.
That's right.
But Heidi knows how to do it. Reach out to us.
That's
and we
right.
can definitely help you out.
Okay, well, I'm going to wrap it up with we are hiring, Heidi. We have internal positions, staff and recruiters in the Ogden area, as well as on-site specialists. If you're interested in applying, please send me your resume, and we'll get you interviewed ASAP. Not in person either. So my email's on the screen here, stephen.farrell@elwoodstaffing.com. If you are somebody that needs help finding talent in northern Utah, Layton, Ogden, Bountiful, Brigham City, Logan, Box Elder County, Cattle County, Cache County, let's talk. Let's see if we can help you. You can send me an email with subject help and let us know your hiring needs, and we'll set up a discovery call. You can also click on the Facebook page, the Elwood Staffing Facebook page, and you can actually schedule a 15-minute meeting right from there. So also, Heidi, we have jobs.
We do. We've got lots of jobs in the area. Whether you're looking for something entry level or you're looking for a skilled position and advance in your career, we've got options for you.
We've got options. So just call us. Tell us what you're looking for, how much you need to make, what type of flexibility you need. We got full-time, part-time, half-time, and we've got great wages, great companies. We recruit for the best companies in northern Utah. We have proud partnerships with these companies. We are your advocate. We're going to help you jumpstart your career, and you can do that. So you can make that next step, first step, by calling us. So just
call, text, email, send a smoke signal, come into the office.
Join a Facebook Live.
Join a Facebook Live, comment below, schedule a meeting, send us a Facebook message, contact us on LinkedIn. It really doesn't matter how you get a hold of us. We are going to be there to help you.
All right. On that note, thanks for tuning in. We might go live later today. There's a few tech companies that are interested in jumping on the podcast, so we'll see. So stay tuned, and have a great day.
We're gonna have fun.
Thanks,
guys.
everybody.
See ya.